I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. There's people out there who have done it already.
Yeah.
And it's really just connecting with those people.
Yeah.
And every, consultant I've ever met, any other real estate investor I've ever met who's done more than what I've done, they're always open and willing to share.
Yes.
Right? And don't be afraid to go and ask.
Oh, I love that.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
It is Rachel, and welcome back to the Smart Move podcast. Thank you for coming back and for listening. As always, I am here to give you the most information possible to make you an informed buyer or seller. I'm really excited for today's episode, not only because I've known our guest for probably like the better part of my life, but also because he is deemed the number one in legal second suite conversions. That's not the only thing. He's getting into major developments. This is so cool. So grab your pen and your paper, get ready, guys, and welcome Ken Bekendam. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Oh my goodness.
It's amazing to be here with you.
It is so fun to have you.
Yeah.
This was actually really exciting because you were, I think, the first person that I thought of when we were like, who are we having as a podcast guest? And just seeing what you've been doing with everything in terms of legal second suites, and now you're getting into more land development, et cetera, is really exciting for me because that's a passion of mine, even though I don't really do it. But to watch you do it is really cool. For those of people that don't know you, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm Ken Bekendam. I'm a real estate investor, a designer, a contractor. I'm a new up-and-coming land developer. I'm an alpaca farmer, and I'm a single parent.
Oh, man, yes, you are.
Yeah.
King is such a good dude. And that's also part of your business as well. You've got a few little titles to your name.
So we have, a number of different kind of entities that
Yes.
I operate, kind of, various aspects to the real estate business.
Yeah.
But it's really like a design, build, manage type of company.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you, I know how long you've been doing this. How long have you been doing this? And what kind of made you get started in, number one, legal conversions, but you did start more in like real estate investing, like just properties themselves, and then going into that conversion process.
Yeah. So I did grow up in a real estate family. Mm-hmm. So I do contribute a lot of, my entrepreneurial spirit to my dad, who started when he was in his 20s. But for me, like any kid growing up, it doesn't become real for you until you start doing it yourself.
Right.
And for me, that was in 2010 when I bought my first bungalow in Hamilton. It was a student rental property. I lived up on the main floor with my wife, Caitlin, and we rented out our basement to students from McMaster. And that was actually purchased through your brother, Chris.
I remember that. Yeah. I think I was working with him at the time still.
So that was, that turned out to be, a really defining moment in my real estate career, exposing me to student rentals, which is still a huge part of my business today.
Yes.
And I encourage anybody out there, if you're considering a type of investment, a student rental property is an amazing investment.
Yeah.
And then from there, we bought a couple more in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
The following year I bought another one, and then we bought two another year later, and so now I got 5 in the area there.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's great. So for me, I was able to, finally quit my full-time job as a landscape designer in 2018.
Okay.
And that was a result because I had good, strong cash flow coming from my student rental properties.
Yes.
So my cash flow from the student rentals was exceeding my take-home pay from my full-time job.
Yeah.
And so I made the decision in 2018 to quit and then start and form my company, King Homes, Inc.
Yeah.
And then at that moment in time, when I started going out to the networking events, I started going out to these monthly meetups, meeting other real estate investors, just learning the industry.
Yeah.
And putting myself out there as a designer, a contractor, and helping a lot of people do basement apartments and legal conversion work. As it turns out, the way the housing economy is going here, conversion work, increasing density on properties is really is really where it's at right now.
Yeah, there is such a need for it. And that's why why I'm really excited to have you here. I mean, we're not going to get into that whole process of, going into the building permits and et cetera, et cetera. And that's something that we'll talk about at the end of this episode, because there's exciting things for Ken coming up. But for someone that is just the average buyer, looking, saying, I want to get into investments. And you had kind of touched on student housing, how that is really good. Like, is now a good time to buy an investment property? Our density, like, as you said, with the density and supply issues, et cetera, like, we're coming into this market with interest rates, as we know. Is now the time that someone wants to be buying an investment property?
Well, it really comes back to your goals as an investor.
Okay.
Right? Some investors, they need that cash flow.
Yes.
Right? That positive cash flow every single month coming off of their investment. Whereas other people, they don't need that cash flow because they do have other sources of income that's bringing in cash into their life.
Okay.
So they're investing more for equity reasons or appreciation. So obviously it goes back to your goals.
Okay.
But, in real estate, the best time to be buying is now. It's today.
Absolutely.
Right? If you're a long-term buy and hold investor, and that's the key.
Yeah.
So the investors that are getting hurt right now that I see are the short-term investors.
Right. Okay.
The house flippers, those who are buying pre-construction, those are all short-term types of investments, and they're the ones that are getting knocked off right now.
Totally.
And that's just because, interest rates have gone up and prices have come down, and they don't have that wiggle room in their pro formas to compensate.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because that's huge in where people are coming to me as a realtor for the flips, for the pre-constructions, where I want people to invest, absolutely. But what's the best advice I'm going to give them is if you're looking for something now, it's got to be long-term. That's our main.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
And so most of the clients that I work with and all of the investments that I'm making myself are all long-term buy and hold types of investments.
Okay.
And because that's how you create generational wealth.
Yeah.
Is being in for the long term.
Okay. So I would say what you can tell to the buyer looking to get into more investments, finding something that's profitable is going to be something that's more long-term right now.
So 100%, you need whatever you are going to invest into. It's got to be income producing.
Yeah.
Okay. It's got to be income producing asset. And that doesn't apply just to real estate. That applies to, could be stocks, Bitcoin, gold, whatever it is that you're investing, it's gotta spit off income somehow.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's gotta be income producing asset. And it's gotta be something that's going to be keeping up with inflation.
Okay.
So obviously with real estate has been a long-term tried and true investment class, investment asset that has proven itself over a very long period of time to more than keep up with inflation. For those of you that are going to be investing into rental properties, even rents over a long period of time have always kind of trickled upward.
Yeah.
And we're especially seeing it now with the shortage that rents are even actually spiking right now.
Oh, totally.
Despite interest rates.
Yeah, exactly. With rents spiking, interest, all that kind of stuff, how do you determine what to rent a property for? With all of those things, rents are spiking. So what are we...
Yeah, it's like anything. Whenever you bring any sort of product to the market, you have to take a look at the market at that point in time and look at your competition and see what other people are doing, right? So for me, every time we're going to go list a property, of course, we're checking out Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, PadMapper, all these different kind of rental sites that are posting listings and seeing what's going on.
What's actually
happening.
What's
actually currently, just like when you go to list a home for sale, you're looking at current comps and what's currently on the market, your competition, right? And so it's no different than when you're posting a rental ad. But, people who are choosing to rent these days are ending up staying longer than what they had maybe originally planned for because they're having a tough time getting into home ownership because of interest rates and property prices still being historically high. Yeah. And so, you got to be doing a very good job of interviewing your prospective tenant.
How do you find the right tenant?
And so for me, it's like a dating relationship. It's you just got to ask the right questions.
Okay.
Right? You got to dig deep. You got to find out, who these people are.
Are you swiping
right?
left?
Swipe left a lot. and you swipe right a couple times.
Once or twice,
and you might find
the
somebody.
Right one.
And look, there is, there's a lot of great people out there who are in rentership. Okay,
Right.
There are a lot of great people are tenants.
Yeah.
But you have to find those people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, oftentimes we always hear this landlord-tenant relationship can be very adversarial.
Yeah.
But that's because, just like a dating relationship, the reason you're having fights in your relationship is because, there's stuff that you didn't talk about up front.
Right.
And you're now finding and discovering later on in the relationship that there's issues.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that. Yeah.
And so for most issues with tenant-landlord relationships, it does kind of come down to financials. That's the vast majority of applications at the Landlord-Tenant Board are,
Yes.
and for non-payment of rent.
Yeah.
So it's really confirming the verifying income.
Okay.
Is first and foremost, really following up on those income documents, verifying with the employers, doing your own math, your own calculations. For me, I always use a metric of 2.5 times the rent amount.
Okay.
In take-home pay, monthly take-home pay, so after tax.
Okay.
What are they actually bringing in to the household every single month? Whether it's one person, two persons, three people, whatever.
Okay.
At least 2.5 times the rental amount is what I'm looking for.
Oh, wow.
And when I use that metric, I can, find very stable tenants. And that's what you're looking for is stability.
Yes.
Right? People that are going to be stable month to month.
Yeah. Big time. No, I love what you said about it being a relationship because it takes both parties to make it work, right? So I think you're absolutely right when you say if the landlord and the tenant aren't kind of upfront right away, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
That's when a lot of the issues arise, right?
Yeah.
If you're not having that conversation right from the get-go.
And it's very much a customer service business as well.
Oh, big time.
A tenant is your customer. They're buying a product off of you.
Yeah.
And you as a business owner, you need to be able to deliver that product, right? So it's like anything, when you bring a crappy product to the market, you're only going to be getting complaints and issues with your customer.
Yeah.
Right. So this is where it's really important to, do good renovations, do it legally, pull the proper permits, do quality renovations to attract that really good caliber tenant who is willing and able to pay that higher rent amount.
Yeah.
Right. Because when you have a crappy product, you can't charge enough for it. You're only going to be attracting, low caliber tenant profiles. And those are the ones that are going to give you all your issues. So the level of your management is directly tied with the quality of your product that you deliver.
I love that. I mean, it seems simple, but it is that simple.
Yeah.
Really. That to me is very valuable. And I think for someone kind of listening to this is going to see that as valuable as well. Is there something like, what is your most, that's kind of a convoluted question, but what is your most valuable piece of advice that you can give to a buyer looking to invest or to an investor maybe having a hard time with tenants or looking to find the right tenant? Like, what would you...
Yeah, the biggest piece of advice I can tell people right now, especially in today's climate, is I guess on the purchase side, when you're looking to purchase a property, is you gotta find something that has opportunity to do something more with that property. Whether it's having a big enough land parcel that you could maybe add an addition, which could add another dwelling unit to that property.
Right.
Or you could add a coach house or a garden suite in the backyard, or maybe there's a potential to sever a lot.
Yeah.
You have a nice double wide lot that you can do as a land severance. Or that just the house or the building itself has opportunity to renovate and bring up that value. So you got to find something that's going to give you opportunity, right? Where there's opportunity, there is potential to profit and to make money.
Yeah, love that. It's so good. And again, something that you do and something that you're kind of getting into as well, I'm noticing, is you are giving more advice to people. So like, obviously, people can talk to me when they're buying a property and they're going to know this stuff from me. But for you personally, in your business, you also do give advice in terms of these conversions and really finding good opportunity and investing, correct?
Yeah. So for a lot of people, I act as their consultant.
Yeah.
So they'll reach out to me for advice. be able to give input into a potential property purchase, help with some due diligence, making sure that, what we're hoping we can do with the property, we can in fact do with the property as per the zoning bylaw, or being able to meet minimum building code requirements. Obviously, what I get involved a lot in is conversion work. So, increasing the density of a property, trying to find the highest and best use for a property. So that has direct, ties back into zoning bylaw and building code.
Which is
key. So, even as a small property investor doing a little basement apartment, a lot of the processes can be the same as what the big developers are doing as well. Going through the bylaws and the approvals and the building code and all that kind of stuff.
But we want to have a professional like yourself, and that's what I love about you sitting here right now, is like right now you're giving people the tools and just even your presence that people, when they're getting into this investment opportunity, they now can say, okay, Rachel, call on Ken, or Ken, I'm calling you. And like, this is just, I think great value for people.
When you have professionals on your team, on your power team, it gives you a lot of confidence.
Totally.
When you're going into a new purchase.
It's a big deal.
And none of us have all the answers.
Nope.
Even for my personal projects that I'm involved in, some of these larger land development projects, I'm also relying on consultants and those who have done it before me. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. There's people out there who have done it already. And it's really just connecting with those people. And every, consultant I've ever met, any other real estate investor I've ever met who's done more than what I've done, they're always open and willing to share.
Yes.
Right? And don't be afraid to go and ask.
Oh, I love that.
Because you don't know what you don't know. And I've learned so much just by asking questions, being very curious by nature, always wanting to learn and figure out a process. And that's paid huge dividends for me.
I agree.
Because when I go out there and I'm looking at a potential purchase of a property, for me, within, 10 minutes, I can quickly figure out what I can and can't do with that property. Whereas the other person might take them 2 weeks to figure out that.
Absolutely. I'm more on the 2 weekend. But that's also why I have someone like you in my resources as someone that I can call on, or if there is something that I can connect a buyer to you or another realtor to you, right? Like those are things that, like you said, like just, I kind of hate this word because I feel like it's overused for 2023 already, but collaborating.
Which 100%.
It's so huge. So to have someone like you as a consultant in that sense, I just think that's really great.
I work with, dozens and dozens, hundreds of realtors, probably thousands of investors.
Oh, yeah.
And because we're doing work all across the province. So, I know at least 40 plus municipalities and townships that we've already done applications in, and, probably well over 600 applications in the last 4 years. So, volume, when you do a lot of volume, you learn stuff pretty quickly.
Totally.
You figure out what the issues are, what are the common issues that we face, and you create systems and processes to deal with those so that you can kind of get stuff done quick.
Yeah, that's so great. I love that. That's really good. So I want to kind of go into this. This is going to be a bit of our closing because I know something that you're loving right now, but I do want to touch on that a little bit. You are getting into some crazy cool things in terms of a next facet of your business. So talk about a little bit what you're doing, what you're loving in terms of land development.
Okay. So, for me, it's a natural step or evolution in my investing journey, kind of graduating from, the smaller low density projects like the basement apartments or the singles, the duplexes, the triplexes, and getting into the larger buildings, whether it's renovating an existing large building or getting into the actual land development space.
Okay.
And so for me, I find it's the highest and best use of my gifts and talents that I have in this industry, being able to figure out the city processes and the approval process. And as a developer, the developers are the ones who are they're the quarterback. They're the ones who bring the team together. They're the ones who bring the consultants together and figure out what's the highest and best use for this land, and creating the plans and getting the approvals with the city. And and be able to get ultimately a building permit to construct.
Yeah.
And so I love that process. For me, I'm a creative type by nature. And so I love the creativeness of land development and taking a blank piece of land and creating a vision for it.
Yeah.
So I'm involved in a number of different land development projects. I have one in Brantford going on right now, which is a 68-unit stacked townhouse development. So I have that with another business partner.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to break ground spring 2024. Next spring.
All right.
So super exciting.
Stay tuned for that one.
It's been about 2 years to get to this.
Yeah, it's
stage
crazy.
in that
It's
process.
such a process. I love that. So that's something that you're loving. Is there something? A bit more. Well, you just love your work. You're really good. Like you're really good at what you do.
Thanks.
Is there a book you'd recommend, or I don't know.
Look, a lot
you
of
love your alpacas.
A lot of the stuff is mindset.
Yeah, totally.
Okay? It's, as anybody who's trying to grow a business, grow a real estate portfolio, do anything more in life than what they currently have, it's a mindset shift that you have to, make happen. And like I said it before, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So you have to, maybe for some people it's hiring a coach.
Yeah.
Or a life coach.
Oh, totally.
Could be a business coach, a real estate coach.
Yeah.
For me, I've hired coaches. I found in my growth journey, I kind of got stuck at a plateau because I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to get to that next level. And so I hired coaches to basically open my eyes to these other things out there that I didn't know of.
Absolutely.
That has now allowed me to get into the land development space.
I love that.
And so that's huge mindset. So, how do you increase your mindset? Could be listening to a podcast, right? Education, reading good books,
I know.
Going out to networking events, and just surrounding yourself with good people who are taking action. You're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. And so I look at my week to week and who I'm actually spending my time with. They're all other really active investors, developers, people who are doing like crazy shit.
And they're going to help you grow. I love that.
And I'm just going to go along for the ride with them.
Take me along with.
Yeah.
I like that. That's so cool. So our closing question, Ken, if you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why? Loaded question.
It's a big question.
It can change every day too.
For me right now, I would say it would be Michael Jackson. He's a childhood,
If anyone knows Ken, this should not come as a surprise to you.
I just know he's a man of talent.
I know.
Man of many talents, You know
every one of his songs.
And, he went through a lot of crazy stuff in life.
Sure did.
In his life journey. So it'd be really interesting to see what his mindset is about how to, deal with all of these different things that was thrown his way.
Big time.
Being under the public eye all the time. And how that kind of allowed him to kind of grow and excel as an artist and a business owner.
Big time.
Right? Because for a lot of these artists or celebrities, it's not just their talent. It's also they're able to build a business around it. Right?
That's what's wild is most of their stuff comes from outside, right? In the business aspect.
It's amazing how many big major celebrities and athletes are really big, have actually really big real estate businesses as well.
I know. It is really awesome. I also would like him to teach me how to moonwalk.
Yeah, of course.
That would be how, but Ken, thank you so much for coming onto the show and just sharing your wealth of investments, conversions, and now getting into land development. I really appreciate that. For those of you that are listening at home, be sure to tag the Smart Move podcast, and Ken Bekendam can be found everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Do you know
Twitter,
he's the
not
only...
so much Twitter anymore, but...
And he is the only Ken Bekendam in the entire world, so you will not miss him.
Just Google me, LegalSecondSuites.com.
Love it.
And, if you do need help with your project or upcoming purchase, you want to figure out the highest and best use, book a consultation. I do free property assessments, 10, 20 times a week for people. So LegalSecondSuites.com.
Take advantage of his knowledge. He will give it to you. He's amazing at it. Thank you so much again, Ken, and we'll see you all next time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.